Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today I'm going to be exposing myself, okay? I'm going to be answering your guys' questions. You guys asked questions for the Optimus Q&A with hashtag Optimus Q&A, and I guess this is a way for me to interact with you guys, tell you a little bit more about myself on a personal level, and kind of explain, some of the more sought after answers that you guys have for a lot of different questions. So I went through, actually extended this a few days. I planned on having this out like February 5th or 6th. Obviously it is February 14th now. So I kind of let it go for a while so there could be more questions overall and I could have a better pool of questions to kind of, reach into and answer questions for. But also on top of that, I also felt like I was going to prioritize other videos. Obviously there's been a pretty good amount of uploads in the last couple days and I was doing that simply because, well, I kind of pushed this video back a little bit. So it is coming out a little later than expected, but I am going to be answering your guys' questions. I do this about once a year, kind of just to refresh everything. Obviously, a lot of new stuff happens pretty much every single year, so it gives an opportunity for more different questions to get asked. So first, I kind of want to start with the ones that got asked so many times that, I can't really attribute it to, one account or one person or anything. First off, will I ever do a face reveal? The answer to that question is, yeah, I probably will. Not right now, but I think over the next few years, there's a pretty good chance. I kind of want it to just be like a big surprise video or something. I don't want to do, one of those videos like a lot of commentary channels and stuff will do where it's like, oh, face reveal, and then it's literally all centered around that. I kind of, maybe one day I want to do like a webcam video or something like that, just out of the blue, not announce it, just so it's kind of, I guess, off topic, and it's a little bit more of a surprise. I think that'd be pretty cool. But the answer to this question that got asked so many different times is yes, I do plan on doing one someday. Another one is, how am I doing personally? A lot of people asked about my mental health, my physical health, how YouTube has affected that, how I've been recently. And honestly, I appreciate you guys asking that kind of question, man, because, I feel like sometimes a lot of people, they kind of just view YouTubers or realistically anyone who they consume content from that isn't right in their face. People kind of forget that we're actually human beings too, and we're actually people. So it feels good to have that question answered. I'm doing pretty good personally. Not a whole lot to complain about at the moment, so everything's going pretty well, I think. Right now, I'm just trying to focus on keeping good habits up, I think is the real important part. And last but not least, how can I get more subscribers on YouTube? Optimus, give me some advice on YouTube, man. Just upload. That really does a lot for you, to be honest with you. There's a reason that people who daily upload videos, especially, their channels tend to do better. The more content that you put out, the more the algorithm's going to reward you. You're going to get more watch time, you're going to get more views, you're going to get more impressions and attention across the platform. So that's pretty important. I mean, obviously don't overwork yourself or upload shitty content, clickbait troll content for the sake of it. You do want to upload something that people are going to watch. So that's my advice for that. But now I kind of want to get into the more personal questions that were asked. Real Arrow asks me, what was your first console? Well, technically it was the PlayStation 2 because that's the first console that I ever really played on. It wasn't mine personally, it was actually my dad's, but that's where I got my start with Grand Theft Auto 3, Madden 2003, games like that. Then I had a GameCube for a while. That was the first console I ever personally owned. It was bought for me by my parents. So I kind of consider both of them my first console because they both kind of played their own important roles. Do you believe that, like Romans many years ago, is America doomed, or do we think we'll ever recover from what's going on in this country? Well, I mean, a lot of people make the comparisons to the fall of Rome with what's going on in the United States right now and the American empire right now. I think a lot of America's problems really kind of come from within, which is the case with a lot of historical empires and massive countries. It really more or less depends on whether or not Americans can finally kind of realize that there's no reason to view each other all as the fucking opposition, if that makes any sense. America's so politically, racially, socially, pretty much everywhere divided that a lot of the times, through the media and through situations that happen in history, we kind of just view each other as the opposition, when that should not really be the case. That shouldn't be how we think of one another. And plus, we honestly have a shitty federal government that doesn't do its job, so that doesn't help the situation whatsoever. I don't know, man. It really depends. I think the next 25 years is really going to determine the answer to this question, especially with all the global events that we're going through and will be going through in the next 25 years, because history does not end today unless Russia's going to nuke us all into oblivion or something like that. But if your channel never took off, what would you be doing now? Honestly, man, it's so hard to really know. I mean, there's so many different paths that life can go down, and I've been through a lot of different things, so it's really kind of hard to tell. Statistically in my life, I should have probably done a lot worse than I did, considering a lot of the circumstances that like I grew up with and stuff like that, where I grew up and things that, you know, somehow affect your life that you wouldn't really think about affecting your life. If I really had to guess, I'd probably be working, I guess, like a quote-unquote normal job, I don't know, in some factory or something like that. I might still be in college, even though I fucking hated college. Actually, at this point, I probably would have already graduated unless something like major happened, so at this point, I might even be working in like computer programming or something like that somewhere. Michael asks, have you ever been in trouble with the police? Yeah, technically I have been in trouble with the police a couple different times. First time I was in trouble with the police, I was about 10 years old. I think I've told this story on YouTube before, but I was like playing in the neighborhood with my cousin and some friends, and like we went to this person's peach tree in their front yard and we were like playing a game where we were throwing them at each other, and another random person on the street came outside and threatened to call the police on us, and then did. So we had to run the neighborhood all the way home while the cops were out literally looking for us. They ended up actually coming to the door and ended up asking my older cousin whether or not she had seen like some teenagers running through the neighborhood and stuff like that. And she had to literally lie for us because we were like 8 feet away from this cop that was looking for us. When I was in high school, I got in a fight at a football game. I slammed this kid because he was fucking with me constantly, and the cop that was nearby kind of detained me or whatever. He threatened to take me to jail for assault and stuff. Nothing ever really happened with either of those situations though, because for some reason, like in the second situation, the cop told me like, well, on Monday you need to go to the principal's office and tell them what happened. Of course, I didn't fucking do that because why would I? You know what I mean? I'm not gonna go tell on myself for doing something. If it was that big of a deal, then you should have either A, stopped the kid while he was fucking with me, or B, tell the principal yourself. That's the way I saw it, at least. But I almost also got killed by the police one time. So I was like at the ATM. I was actually getting cash out to go buy a Nintendo Switch at Walmart. And the police, I guess, said that I was taking too long at the ATM, quote unquote. And they pulled me over. Both of them got out with their handguns drawn. They came up to the window. It was at night, so I understand being a little fearful. But the point of it is I had all the lights on in my car. Like when I got pulled over at night, I mean, out of respect for the cops, I don't want them just walking up to the door and it's fucking dark in there. You never know, I could reach for a gun or something. I get that. So I turned the lights on in the car, the overhead lights and stuff, and, you know, kept my hands on the steering wheel. Scared the fucking shit out of me, man. I have never been so scared as I was in that moment. I legitimately thought I was gonna die. So those are my run-ins, I guess, with the police, if that answered your question. Slat asks me, where do you get the motivation to post so much every day? Hashtag Optimus QNA, love your content. Well, first off, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoy the videos. The motivation, mostly, honestly, I just really like making YouTube videos. It's a really big hobby of mine. I mean, sure, like, it pays the bills and everything too, and it's my job. But I've always enjoyed making YouTube videos. I did this shit for free for like 5 or 6 years before I even made a dime off of YouTube. So I've always kind of enjoyed posting as much as I can. In the last year or so, I've been slacking a little bit. I'll go through like 5 or 6 day periods where I don't upload. I'm not really burnt out. I don't know what the deal is with that. I'll figure it out eventually, but I just really enjoy making YouTube videos, and there's a lot of stuff that I really just like talking about that happens online and stuff. So Serious, what do you think of modern parenting versus older parenting? What are the positives and negatives of each? And random, do you sleep with or without clothes? Well, I mean, you can really kind of point out the flaws and the benefits of both sides. I mean, modern parenting, I feel like people treat their kids like kids a lot more now, you know? I feel like the expectations, while, you know, this isn't completely across the board, I feel like people use modern parenting techniques. You know, they expect their children to make mistakes and they don't simply punish them for making them. And I feel like they treat their kids more like human beings than a lot of old school parents would treat their kids. But at the same time, I think that the older parenting style actually made kids much more disciplined and made kids grow into much more quote-unquote normal adults, right? Like, I noticed that a lot of people who grew up with like the modern parenting style, you know, they don't really have the same level of discipline in a lot of situations that older parents instilled into their kids. Like, I feel like my generation, I know it sounds cringy, but like my generation is a lot less disciplined and a lot less motivated than older generations. That also could be due to external factors like what we've had to grow up with compared to them, but I also usually sleep with clothes on, if anything, like some shorts and a t-shirt. That's pretty much it. Mr. Terry asks me, share some Optimus wisdom. Do you think VR could be the future of online entertainment? And if so, how? Well, I think that it could play a very big part into it. I don't know if it's solely the future of entertainment, but I mean, you look at things like the metaverse and all these different things that are happening right now, and they're becoming more and more popular. It is going to get to a point where they become more and more normalized, right? Like, I know they're cool and, you know, funny to make fun of now, but these types of things, when the technology continues to progress, will actually end up being something important. And plus, there's a lot of things you can do in VR. There's a lot of cool different games and stuff. and it's just overall a really unique piece of technology in my opinion. So yeah, I think it definitely has its part. HP asks, do you read off a script for your videos or do you just go off the dome? Well, 99% of the time it's straight off the head. It's pretty much unfiltered altogether. But on certain videos I do write scripts. Most of the time it's for like my quote unquote more important videos, like just off the top of the head, the Afghanistan video I did a script for that video because it took a lot of research and, you know, there's a lot of facts and whatnot to remember. And I have a pretty good time remembering a lot of information for my videos straight off the dome like that. But when you're talking about a fucking political situation that's unfolded for the better part of 2 decades, it's hard to know all these things you want to talk about off the top of the head. So George asks, what made you interested in video games since you play a lot of them for background in your videos? Well, like I said kind of earlier in this video, my dad kind of introduced me to video games pretty early on into my life with the PS2. So that kind of really did it, man. I don't know if I would enjoy video games to the same extent that I do now if that never happened, if even at all. And for sure, my channel would not be at the point that it's at because it's been such a major format for me, right? Blacklisted asks me, would I ever consider making a Discord server or playing games with my subs? I've had a Discord a couple different times, but unfortunately the nature of Discord, people get really fucking toxic and you have to deal with a bunch of bullshit that you really don't want to have to deal with. So I don't know if I'm ever going to make a Discord again or not. I would be down to play games with my subs. I mean, I've done it before. I would do it again. Usually I've done that kind of thing on stream. But I mean, if I ever make a Discord server or something like that again, I can definitely see it happening. What is your usual workflow each day? Well, primarily focusing on trying to get topics and stuff for videos, getting gameplay. A lot of the times, you know, I get gameplay later at night, like when I'm playing games with my friends when they're off work from normal jobs, if you want to call it that. And when I get up, I come up to the office and whatnot. I get my topics all lined up, anything I need to talk about, record the audio for it, I master the audio a little bit, and then of course I just edit and render the videos and whatnot. And depending on how much I have to do, that kind of takes a little longer than you would want to, but I mean, it happens. Siler with a B asks, do you fuck with Yeet? Yes, I fuck with Yeet. Leighton asks me, you fuck with Cardi, right? Top 3 favorite songs by him. It kind of goes based on leaks and released. If we're talking about released songs, I really like Let It Go off of Self-Titled. Shoota with Lil Uzi Vert off of Die Lit is pretty good. I also really like Long Time. I know those are kind of like 2 of his really popular songs, so that's a lot of people's picks, but they both just put me in a certain mood, so I love those songs. Another song, fucking Whole Lotta Red, I hated when it came out, but pretty much every song off that album is just fucking 10 out of 10 for me. If I gotta pick a favorite off that album, it's really hard because I actually like so many of the songs. Rockstar Made's pretty good. Stop Breathing's probably what I've listened to the most. New Tank is fucking insane. New Neon's good. It's been good since the leak. King Vamp, Sky, I Love You, I Hate You, Over, Place on that time. I mean, there's just so many different songs off that album. It's hard to pick released, but unreleased. Give me Tattoo, Vivian Westwood, and I want to say Red on Red, but I'm honestly probably going to take Boulder Crest over it. I also really like Holyfield, which is an older song of his. Uh-oh asks, how far do you want to expand the Optimus brand? How long will Adepto the Wonder last? Well, the Optimus brand, man, I'll expand it as far as I can, you know? I have a lot of projects in the works to do just that, right? Including merchandise, of course, OptiWorld, content here on the channel. Adepto the Wonder, I don't normally go by that name when I produce music anymore. I've kind of started going by Optimus instead because obviously that's the more popular name for me. I used to use Adepto the Wonder to kind of separate my music away from like my YouTube channel, but at this point I don't really think it makes sense to do that anymore. So Zika asks, who are your favorite musical artists from any genre and why? Well, Kanye West is kind of like the popular known one that I'm a huge fan of. I love Kanye West because he's made some of the greatest and most polarizing music of my lifetime. One of the most influential artists of the 21st century and at this point in American culture ever. I really like Playboi Carti. He's changed the rap industry a lot. He's popularized a lot of things that people kind of shit on him for, but you'll notice that a lot of rap artists that have come out, particularly in like the last year, there's some elements of like Whole Lotta Red on their albums, man. He really has a lot of influence in the rap game, and honestly, his music is just fucking awesome, man. Like, I love the direction that he went on Whole Lotta Red. I've enjoyed him now for the better part of a decade. So I also really fuck with like Kendrick Lamar because, well, I mean, if you've listened to any of his albums, he's probably the greatest rapper of this generation. You know, I think he's going to be one of the greatest rap artists of all time by the time it's all said and done. Honestly, you can kind of make a case for it now, in my opinion. In terms of like other genres, I really like Nirvana / Kurt Cobain. I know that that's like a popular band or whatever. I also really like Rage Against the Machine, and I like the Beatles. I like Otis Redding. Aiden Foster asks, was there ever a point in time where you thought, fuck this, I'm gonna quit? If so, why? If you feel comfortable saying it. Yeah, actually there was. In late 2016, I almost permanently quit YouTube. I actually had a semi-viral video before that about Amy Slayton. I got like, I don't know, 60, 70,000 views or something like that. And the follow-up had like 30 to 40K. It was my first videos that like actually, you know, were like commentary videos that did well. But I got bored of making content for a little bit at that time, and I took like 3 or 4 months off, and I was pretty intent on never making videos again, but I came back in like December of 2016, and then, you know, 7 or 8 months later in 2017, I had my first million view video with the game theory one, and my career kind of just took off from there. So I would have never have had any of this had I decided to quit from YouTube. Fudd asks, what's your top 5 movies and why? Well, my favorite movie of all time is Friday with Ice Cube. It's fucking hilarious. I mean, there's so many quotable and memorable moments from the movie. It's just a damn good movie altogether. I mean, you can watch it pretty much in any mood. The Wolf of Wall Street, because, well, it's just a badass movie. I also really like Leonardo DiCaprio. Forrest Gump, because I like Tom Hanks. It's one of the best movies of all time, and it really kind of encapsulates so much American history in it too, and that kind of stuff's always interested me. The Social Network, because I think it did a really good job of portraying the upcoming of Facebook, a lot of the personal details behind it, and also how Mark Zuckerberg kind of screwed over some of the co-founders of Facebook and whatnot, right? I think it's a goddamn classic movie. I mean, I've loved that movie since I first saw it. Last but not least, I'm gonna either put Boys in the Hood or Juice. Juice has Tupac in it. It's a really good story. And I remember first time I watched it was with my mom back when I was in like middle school or something like that. I stayed home sick from school, and she put me onto that movie, and it's a damn good movie, man. If you've never seen Juice, I really recommend you watch it. And Boys in the Hood, honestly, because the movie makes me sad. I mean, when Ricky gets killed, obviously, because he has such a bright future ahead of him, and just to get taken out that way. But it also kind of really highlights some of the dangers and the troubles that a lot of people go through, man. Like, it's a very real and raw story that countless people have had to experience in their lifetimes, right? At least the details, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not the perfect word for word script or anything, but it's sad to see shit like that, man. I mean, if you never saw somebody go out like that in like high school or something like that, or like one of your friends get killed like that, I mean, it's fucking tragic, man. So Ethan asks, what is your favorite Kanye song? Oh my God, this one fucking changes, it seems like every single day, man. Right now I've been listening to a lot of City in the Sky, which is one of the unreleased cuts off of Yandhi. The song's fucking beautiful. I also really like Home off of the Yandhi bootleg. The Garden, which is one of the cuts off of Yandhi as well, is one of my favorite songs of all time. In terms of released, even then, man, it's so hard. Honestly, my favorite song of all time is probably Devil in a New Dress by Kanye West off of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I think that's gonna have to be my answer. I mean, the production on that is just, it's fucking otherworldly. I mean, that instrumental alone, just hearing that is a beautiful enough song. But when you add in the fact that Kanye had a great verse on it, very personal verse on it, and then on top of that, Rick Ross did his fucking thing on that, man. Rick Ross has had some of the best features on songs that I've ever heard, and that's one of them. The guitar solo really also made the song a goddamn 10 for me. So Liv asks, as a fellow Ohioan, do you like Ohio or do you plan on leaving? And well, I know there's like a lot of Ohio slander online, especially by people who've never been here. Personally, I fucking love Ohio, man. I think it's a wonderful state. There's a lot of opportunity people don't really seem to see. There's a lot of natural beauty in Ohio that people probably don't even really know about. And even the cities, you know, they have their problems, but they're not, you know, the worst. I've been to a lot of major cities, especially in the Midwest, and, you know, they all have the same issues and the same problems that, you know, people clown Ohio cities for having. Cincinnati is an overhated city. I think it's a beautiful city. Columbus, I think, is one of the best cities I've ever personally been to. Cleveland is somewhat hit or miss. I mean, it's got its bad areas for sure, but there is a lot of cool stuff to do there as well, and if you go to the right spots, there's a lot of beauty there too. I like Ohio. I personally love the state enough that I don't say I plan on leaving. You know, a lot of people have told me, oh bro, move to LA like all these other YouTubers. Mystic BP asks, are you going to start streaming on Twitch more? The answer is probably no. I don't really like Twitch as a platform. I also don't really enjoy streaming on it that much. I honestly think YouTube's just better for streaming too. So if I ever really start kind of, I guess, streaming again, it'll probably be on YouTube, or it could be on like Facebook or something like that. But personally, I really just don't like Twitch, so probably not. Ascension asks, what's the progress on the whole OptiWorld thing? Is it still coming, or am I out of the loop? I'm really looking forward to it. Well, unfortunately, the Twitter account is permanently suspended because of the hack I suffered back in December, the bot or whatever. tweeted like 4 or 5 things about like some cryptocurrency, and it tweeted out some links, and of course it got reported, which is understandable. But even when I proved to Twitter that it was done from a hack and that this wasn't legit, they basically told me to go fuck myself on the appeal and that it was going to stay permanently suspended. So it's kind of hard to update progress on it with that going down, because that was the main line of communication, I guess, for OptiWorld. As of right now, it's kind of on pause. I mean, it's still going to happen eventually. It's still kind of being worked on, but not at the pace that it was. And honestly, that's fine for now, because there's a lot of stuff coming along anyway with other opportunities, and it doesn't need to be done in 5 months, 6 months, whatever, right? The vision's changing a little bit, but of course, I don't want to say exactly what's happened or anything, because I mean, shit changes obviously, and I don't want it to be like me constantly having to correct on different information. So when we're ready to give an update again, I'll give an update again. It'll probably be a couple months before there's any major announcement, but it will eventually come. But right now, progress is slowed for sure due to what happened with the Twitter, and because everybody's just got so much going on. So that's pretty much it for this Q&A. It's getting pretty long at this point, and I think that I don't want to sit here and do this for 3 hours, because obviously that wouldn't make a very entertaining video, I don't think either. So I'm going to try and cut it short as possible here. I think I answered plenty of questions. Thank you guys for asking your questions, and if you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know exactly when things like this go down. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, answering your questions and signing out.